Hi, this is Ann with Pixology, and welcome to our next video in the process of creating your photo estate. Today we're going to work on breaking down your photos into the major categories. Molly's going to walk you through it. Have fun.
All right, I am all set with my bins. I've labeled them with decades because that's the normal major category that we organize by. Some people might organize by person, but if you have a family with 3 kids and each child gets their own stack, what do you do with the pictures that have 2 of the kids in it or all 3? So we like to organize by decade. That's our major first sorting of the photos. And what I'm going to do next is sort these photos by decade. We usually think this part shouldn't take too long. This is not the time to be spending reminiscing over the memories. Please think about this. You got to get it done. It's what pile does the photo go to? You don't even have to worry necessarily about moving the pictures out of the albums yet. If they're organized by date, you can just put them in the decade that the album goes with. We usually find that we're able to date almost 3/4 of the pictures by a date on the picture, on the envelope, or on the album that it's in. So I'm going to organize this real quick for you, and obviously it's going to be sped up or you would be so bored. All right, stay tuned. Funny what variety of stuff you'll find in there. Christmas photo cards, I put those in a separate stack because sometimes we like to look through the old ones, but mostly just at Christmas time, so they don't need to be in your main chronological order. So anytime I find this, it goes in its separate piles. So I just found this picture from 1983. That's my husband when he was 13. Oh, he was so cute. Anyway, you never know what treasures you'll find, but you shouldn't spend a lot of time reminiscing over the photos. Remember that. You're moving fast. All right, so I'm done sorting by decade. I think if you can get through everything within 2 to 4 hours, you're doing really well. Now, in order to do something like that in 2 to 4 hours, you cannot try to identify every single little picture. In fact, you shouldn't spend more than 1 or 2 seconds a picture or a batch thinking about where it should go. It should just be like a wheel turning in your head, doom, doom, doom. All right? There will be pictures that you don't know what decade they are right off the top of your head. And that's okay. We just put that in the box that says unknown, and we'll figure it out later when we're deep diving into our decades. All right, so don't let the unknown date picture slow you down. So you might have portraits. Just put them all in one box. Don't worry about who it is. Put all the portraits in one box. And then, you know, you can see I've just included some of the albums yet because I don't want to break them down. I don't want that to slow me down. I've got very little in the 2010s. Do you know why that is? It's because nobody gets pictures printed anymore. So they're probably on a digital camera, on your computer, on your smartphone, hopefully backed up. And we'll talk about that later, but 2010s isn't going to be much. Memorabilia, we have church papers in there, we've got certificates, we've got newspaper articles, cards. We have really wonderful pieces of memorabilia that are like a snapshot of history. I mean, think about the Valentine's Day cards from the 1930s and 40s. I did find an album that was empty. Sometimes this is a bonus. You're going through your stuff and there's one that's nothing in it. Yay! We'll throw that over there. 1990s, and for some reason, we're missing some section. The 1980s, there's very little. The 80s and 90s are the horror years. That was when duplicates were free and sometimes triplicates. And you know, people shared those copies with other family members and friends, and then they split them up, hung them up on their bulletin boards and things like that. These pictures were shuffled and dispersed. Now they're just going to be a mess. So 1990s and 1980s generally is a problematic too. So when we do this kind of sorting for clients and we see 1980s is a little light, we'll ask, what albums are you missing? You know, did you have a stash of photos somewhere that you haven't thought about? So 80s and 90s, usually there's at least a few hundred. So you can see our 1990s needs a lot of work. All right, I've got 70s some and 60s, heritage, anything from, you know, the 1950s and earlier can go in there. If you find you're having a lot of 1950s photos, well then make a bin for it. Just mark up a sheet of paper and get a box and throw it in there. Also, we have envelopes like this, get 4x6 prints. I don't know if she ever did that, but these are fantastic photos. So I'm gonna actually keep them in their envelopes. Sometimes when I really think I found a treasure, I'll make a little sticky note and I'll put, you know, important, and I'll stick that in there so that I remember to keep an eye out for that. So I think this is a pretty good representation of breaking things down by decade. If you have other topics that are important in your life or your family's life, you can make a separate bin for those things too in the first sorting. I don't think you go crazy, but like if you have a career, one of our clients, his father was a president of a university, so we found audio tapes, we found certificates, newspaper articles, publications, and that all went into the bin for career for him. That is how it works out. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and we'll try to answer them. And don't forget to subscribe so that you can see our next video where we start breaking down the major categories into subcategories. Thank you so much for joining and happy sorting.